Good evening and welcome back to the Heal Security Dispatch Deep Dive with Mark and Diana, your trusted source for the latest cybersecurity trends and expert insights. Proudly presented by Heal Security. Today is Friday, May 9, 2025.
Good evening.
We've got quite a bit to cover tonight. We're diving into some really key cybersecurity developments.
That's right.
Think of this as your rapid briefing. We'll touch on everything from, sneaky hardware vulnerabilities, the ever-present ransomware threat, and even how cyber stuff is playing out geopolitically.
And our goal is really to cut through the noise. We're looking at reports from security firms, news outlets, government agencies.
Right.
To give you the sharpest insights so you understand what actually matters for your security.
Exactly. We want you to know what to look out for.
Absolutely. Let's just jump right in then.
Okay, so first up, the FBI. They've got some interesting findings about old routers, the kind many of us might have tucked away somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
Apparently, they're becoming prime targets for cyber criminals building proxy networks. What's the deal with that?
Well, it really boils down to how easy they are to compromise. These older devices, they often haven't had a security update in years.
Makes sense.
Which makes them incredibly vulnerable. So by hijacking them, using them as proxies, criminals can effectively, hide their online tracks.
Okay.
It makes tracing things like identity theft, fraud, that kind of thing, much, much harder. It's sort of a low-effort, high-reward situation for them.
And this isn't just theory, is it? We saw that big joint operation, U.S. and the Netherlands, taking down a botnet. Over 7,000 devices.
Exactly.
Were those the same kind of vulnerable gadgets?
Pretty much, yeah. That botnet heavily relied on compromised IoT devices, and that included a significant number of these end-of-life routers. These devices often ship with weak default security settings anyway. They're just easy pickings to be pulled into these proxy networks.
So that operation really highlights the issue.
It really does. It underscores the need to think about the security lifecycle of all the connected devices you might have.
So the clear takeaway there, check that old router. It could actually be a security risk.
Definitely.
Okay, let's switch gears. Data breaches. Seems like there have been a few big ones in the news recently. Insight Partners reported one. Turned out bigger than they first thought.
Yeah, the Insight Partners situation, it really shows a key challenge in incident response, doesn't it? Accurately figuring out the scope, the impact right away.
Right.
The fact that their initial assessment underestimated the exposure, it suggests maybe some weaknesses in how they detected or analyzed it.
Could be.
It really underlines the need for, thorough reviews after an incident and being transparent about it.
And then there was Ascension, a healthcare provider. Huge number of patients affected there. What kind of info was potentially exposed?
With Ascension, over 430,000 patient records potentially exposed. That's a major concern.
That's sensitive stuff.
Highly sensitive. Names, addresses, medical history. Incredibly valuable on the dark web. It puts affected people at real risk for identity theft, other malicious stuff. Really brings home the high stakes in protecting healthcare data.
Yeah, definitely. And Valsoft Corporation, another breach. Around 160,000 people. It just feels like these are happening constantly across all sorts of businesses.
You're right. The frequency, across finance, healthcare, tech, it shows how pervasive this threat is.
No one's safe, it seems.
Pretty much.
Right.
It's a constant reminder that no organization, big or small, whatever sector, is immune. Robust security is just, paramount.
Okay, moving on to ransomware. We heard some interesting news about the LockBit gang. Sounds like maybe some internal drama.
Yeah, there are reports of internal data leaks within LockBit. Now, if that's verified, it could be a pretty big deal.
How so?
Well, potentially exposing their internal chats, their tools, that could really disrupt their operations. And it gives law enforcement and researchers valuable intelligence to try and dismantle these groups. It's, a rare peek behind the curtain of a major ransomware operation.
Interesting. And it seems like the whole cybercrime world is adapting, right? Better security is pushing them to change tactics.
That's exactly it. As defenses get stronger, the attackers naturally look for new angles.
Yeah.
We're seeing more sophisticated offerings on the cybercrime underground.
Like what?
Things like malware as a service. Think of it like subscribing to malicious software.
Wow.
And also data leak extortion, where the threat isn't encrypting your data, but releasing stolen data if you don't pay. It just shows a more organized, more diversified criminal ecosystem.
And related to that, the UK's National Cybersecurity Centre warned about ransomware hitting medium-sized businesses more often now. Why that shift away from the really big targets?
It's likely strategic. Medium-sized businesses, they often have valuable data, right? But maybe their security isn't as robust as a huge corporations.
Okay, makes sense. Less fortified.
Exactly. So attackers see an opportunity for a successful payout, but maybe with less risk of attracting that intense global scrutiny that follows hitting a major company. It's definitely a worrying trend for businesses that might think they're flying under the radar.
Yeah, definitely something for medium-sized businesses listening to consider. Now let's look at specific vulnerabilities. SonicWall patched a few in their SMA 100 series.
Yes, three vulnerabilities. They're post-authentication. So basically, if an attacker already has some kind of basic access,
Like stolen credentials?
yeah, could be, then these flaws could let them escalate their privileges quite significantly. Maybe run malicious code, delete files, things like that.
Nasty.
And the fact these were potentially already exploited in the wild really hammers home how critical it is to apply security updates quickly.
Right. And on the software side, Commvault, they patched a critical vulnerability in their backup software. That sounds really important for data protection.
Oh, absolutely. Backup software is, often your last line of defense. So any vulnerability there is a massive risk. This patch is a big improvement for Commvault users, reducing the chance of unauthorized access to backups. That could be catastrophic if you're already dealing with an attack.
These examples really just underline the basics, don't they? Keep your stuff updated. Patching is fundamental.
It really is. Non-negotiable, really.
Okay, let's shift to the geopolitical side of things. The Russia-linked group, Cold Driver, they've been active again.
Yes, Cold War. They're using a new malware strain called Lost Keys. Been targeting Western governments, organizations, since early 2025, apparently.
How does it work?
Their method involves these deceptive fake CAPTCHA screens, the prove you're human things.
Yeah.
They use fakes to trick users into running malicious PowerShell scripts. Their targets NATO countries, the Baltics, Nordics, Eastern Europe, suggest they're still focused on intelligence gathering and potentially setting the stage for maybe more disruptive attacks later using other malware, perhaps something called Spica.
Always watching. And still on geopolitics, there's a bipartisan Senate bill in the U.S. aiming to ban the Chinese AI system DeepSeek for federal contractors. What's the worry there?
The main concern is national security. The idea is to prevent sensitive data from potentially flowing back to China if federal contractors use DeepSeek.
Okay.
It kind of mirrors similar worries about other foreign tech. It's part of a bigger picture effort to, manage the risks that might come with using technology from certain countries.
Got it. Okay, finally, let's talk real-world impact. Businesses, consumers. Marks & Spencer, the UK retailer, had a significant cyber attack over Easter weekend.
That's right. And it caused very real disruptions for their customers.
Like what?
It affected their click and collect services, also contactless payments in stores. It just really shows how even big established retailers are vulnerable.
Yeah.
And the immediate impact on their operations, on customer experience, it can be pretty substantial.
So, looking back at everything we've covered tonight, quite a range. What are the key trends that really stand out to you?
Well, we're definitely seeing the continued exploitation of older, unpatched tech. That's a constant.
Still a major issue.
Alongside that, data breaches are getting, it seems, bigger and more impactful. The ransomware scene is always shifting. Attackers are adapting their tactics constantly.
Right.
Fixing software and hardware vulnerabilities, as we said, remains absolutely critical, an ongoing job. And finally, the link between cyber activity and geopolitics just seems to be getting stronger and more visible.
It really does highlight the need for everyone, individuals, organizations, to stay vigilant, be proactive with security.
Absolutely.
That means, keeping devices updated,
Yeah.
using strong security measures, and just staying informed about what threats are out there.
Couldn't agree more. And, thinking about how all these different events are connected, it really makes you wonder,
What's sir?
what new defensive strategies might become truly essential for individuals and organizations over the next year, specifically to counter these kinds of evolving, interconnected threats?
Thank you, Mark and Diana, for the insightful session. And to all you listening, thank you for tuning in to Heal Security Dispatch Deep Dive. We're grateful for your time and hope you found today's insights valuable. Join us again on Monday for more expert updates and critical cybersecurity news. Remember to like, subscribe for ongoing coverage and analysis, and sign up for a free trial of Heal Security Desktop at healsecurity.com. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and keep your digital world secure.